Hi, today we're going to talk about economic activity in different phases of business cycles. So we talked about business cycle stages in previous section. We identified four major stages: trough, expansion, peak, and contraction. So during these stages, we see movement in housing sector market or external sector. So we're gonna describe what kind of movement or what kind of changes we see in these sectors. So in housing sector, especially during the expansion stage, we see government brings down the interest rate by increasing the money supply. With the low interest rates, especially the home buying and construction increases. Uh, so after post 2008 market crash, we saw in major world economies the interest rates were low. People started uh, buying houses because they wanted to use the low interest rate. So this is one of the mechanism is to boost economies, to boost aggregate demand, is to uh, bring up the level of aggregate output. The second is during expansion stage, you can see their higher incomes, and the higher incomes is more likely to increase more consumption and more construction. In the late stage of expansion or peak, you can see their high speculative activities because there is more demand. There are more demand of you can say there are more properties in the market than the actual demand. More supply is there, so higher price lead to speculative demand, like people may not need that many housing facilities or property, but they just invest in those housing and properties just to make money, or they trade these properties or these housing stocks just to make money. So it's more about the idea behind is not just using the property to live there, but is instead to invest in those property and make money from those properties. So this leads to excess supply than the actual demand. And there is also, we see the demographic factor here. So when which country has more young population, and or which city has more young population, we and there's a positive relation between housing sector and young population. So young population wants to rent houses or wants to buy houses to start their family or for other needs. So there's a positive relation between younger population and the housing sector demand. Now we focus our attention to external sector or external sector activity. We see it more in context of export and import. When the GDP is growing, so we're talking about expansion and peak cycle. When the GDP is increasing, in those cases, the demand for import increases because now people have more income, and uh, most of the time what happens is the inflation rate is higher in during these stages. To bring down inflation rate, interest rate, government decreases the money supply, will bring up this interest rate, and so that the also it affects the currency because the demand of currency goes high as the interest rates goes up. So in those cases, people have more income, so they start buying more product from other trading partners. So in that scenario, import is directly linked to the GDP growth because there's increase in importing activity. And same thing happens for the trading partner. If trading partner has a good domestic growth, so they will import more in their country. So for the base country which we're talking about, it will see more export because the trading partner has a GDP increase and they are importing more from the base country. So currency exchange rate. So we talked about it as the domestic currency become more stronger. The import becomes more cheaper than export. So which kind of provide push to do more imports. Thank you.